Hey, folks, here is a 10-minute highlight reel of the next big idea for those of you short on time. For the full conversation, follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Reid Hoffman, welcome to the next big idea.
It's great to be here.
Reid, the subtitle of your new book is What Could Possibly Go Right with Our AI Future? You point out in the book that in a 2023 Pew Research poll, only 15% of US adults said they were more excited than concerned about the increasing use of AI in daily life. So there is fear out there. Do you think it's just people are afraid of change? What's going on?
Well, first, I think it's the common human reaction. It's one of the things we show in Superagency because people don't realize that whether it was the printing press, whether it was electricity, whether it was cars, the internet,
Yeah,
mainframe
exactly.
computers, this dialogue that we're in right now is always the dialogue that the, kind of thinking, attentive, people kind of respond to because we respond first with what could go wrong. And that is a very natural human impulse. Now, one thing I probably should say at the outset is while I'm unequivocally very optimistic and believe very strongly that there is this very positive human future, the superagency, superpowers for humanity, for a wide swath, a very broad swath of human beings, and hopefully, ultimately, all, transitions are difficult. The printing press, you cannot have the modern world without the printing press. You can't have science, you can't have medicine, you can't have education,
Yeah, democracy.
You can't have democracy. But with the printing press, we had nearly a century of religious war because we as human beings adopt to these new technologies badly. And part of the reason why we wrote Superagency and part of the reason we're doing this is saying, well, whether or not it's just inevitable it happens or we're shaping it. And obviously we believe that you should accelerate and shape it, but it is going to happen. But let's try to maintain these transitions with more humanity and grace. Let's both kind of try to shape the technology and also try to shape our human responses. Because, the only way you get a future that you want is by imagining that positive future. You don't get the future you want by trying to eliminate every bad future.
Let's do this. Let's paint this picture of how beautiful our collective AI future could be. So you say at the outset that you see AI as a force that will increase rather than decrease human agency, our sense of volition and control, thus the title Superagency. How do you see this happening?
Well, so not only does AI give us superpowers today, right? Like you just have to go use it. And you can imagine that it does everything from the mundane, like, hey, these are the ingredients I have in my refrigerator. What are possible things that I could make for dinner? To like very important personal things. Hey, my child is got this rash. Is this something I should go to the ER about or schedule a doctor appointment or, like what's the set of things to do? I use it in various ways to amplify my productivity in writing books and doing investments and everything else. And I think it's all there. And it's there. Like I use the same tools that are available to everybody else. And so I think that's part of the increase in agency. Now, there's a critical part of the superagency that I think is useful for people to understand. It's not just I get agency, but when you get the agency too, we get superagency. Think about the car. You say, hey, I can now drive to the grocery store and I can now drive to go see my friend. And so I've got increased mobility agency. But also, by the way, doctors can now, when your kid's ill, they can come to a home visit. That's also an increase in their agency and your agency. And so as this kind of agency goes up in millions of people at a kind of similar time, we get superagency together.
2025 is being discussed as the year of agents. And agents, of course, are AI systems that can take actions on our behalf in the world. How do you think AI agents are going to change our daily experience? And how soon do you think this is likely to happen?
I think it starts slowly and then goes very fast. And so is it fast this year, fast next year? I don't exactly know because most people kind of like, just about everyone has heard about AI and still relatively few people have tried anything serious like, hey, I'm going to improve my French or anything else. And so that's the kind of slow start. Now, that being said, within a small number of years, we will, begin kind of saying, I can't imagine what doing this work was like without co-pilots. Just as like, it's kind of hard to imagine what life is like without a smartphone these days.
You have been very productive in recent years, right? Writing books with increasing frequency. You've got multiple podcasts. You're investing and starting companies. And that's possible because you have a lot of collaborators, right? You've got a chief of staff, you've got assistants. And I wonder if we're not moving towards a world within which everyone will have the sort of collaborative support that currently highly successful people like yourself have today.
I think it's almost certain. Like, and not only will we have one agent, maybe it'll also be multiple agents. And by the way, the agents will be coordinating with each other. Like, for example, you have a research agent and you have a go buy stuff agent, and it could just be different hats of the same technology. But that kind of thing, I think that is literally line of sight.
I mean, I'm sure you read Dario Amode's, Machines of Love and Grace, in which he basically says we're looking at 50 to 100 years of technological progress in 5 to 10 years. Do you think that's achievable?
I think it's almost certainly achievable, although which kind of progress? Like, one of the things I frequently say about the future is it's sooner and stranger than you think. So like, in the 1950s, people thought we were going to have flying cars soon. We didn't get flying cars. We got the internet, and no one thought about the internet in the 1950s. And so I think we will have that acceleration of progress, but I don't think it's necessarily like I think it'd be great if we invented fusion. I think that would be a really, kind of awesome thing. But it may not be that the AI helps us invent fusion. But for example, I can see it doing all kinds of things on health. I can see it doing all kinds of things in many areas of productivity, including accelerating the science clock.
Turning to politics, many of us were surprised to see the groundswell of support from Silicon Valley billionaires for Donald Trump. We had folks like Elon Musk, Ben Horowitz, and Mark Andreessen, embracing Trump. You know these people. You've worked closely with many of them. Have you been surprised by the turn of the last few months?
I wasn't surprised for a few reasons. One is the true line for Silicon Valley is create the technologies that invent the future. And one of the things that kind of sadly, I think that the, kind of Biden administration was kind of overly kind of channeling like just the, big tech antagonists, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
The thing about all these folks is like, look, the thing that's most important is that we can go build these new technological futures. And if you're just being really hostile to that, then a lot of people in the kind of tech creator community will be hostile to that. So it was not surprising to me. Now, obviously I, kind of argued strongly the other way because my expectation was that if Harris had been elected, I would have been able to persuade her administration to be more technologically positive from my various interactions with her. But, I understand.
How do you think the average person should think about modifying their priorities with all these changes in mind? I mean, there was a wonderful sort of clarion call from Mustafa Suleyman in one of your podcast episodes about the importance of going all in, that going all in as a society, going all in as individuals. What does that look like? What's your advice for people listening?
In a sense, my advice starts a little simpler, which is just start using. Because if the barrier is go all in, then people probably defer.
Yeah.
And start using for things that matter to you, right? Not just, maybe, what to make for dinner really matters to you, but not just that kind of thing, but things that help you learn, help you become more capable, help you navigate the world. Like think about these AIs as, informational GPSs that help you navigate all of this. And I think that's really important. And so start. And then, by the way, start and don't just go, well, I tried it, didn't really work. Keep trying until you discover good things, because They're there.
Yeah.
And then once you get that, then you can kind of condition yourself to, I do think it's a good idea to go all in, but you can make which way and how to go all in as a good decision for yourself.